button now. All right. And so again, I do have an agenda. I don't have a slide deck at this time, but you are going to get a resource document that you'll be able to refer to. And it's also part of something that was linked in yesterday's behind the scenes. So you technically already have access to it, but it's buried within a link that I gave. So I'm going to start sharing my screen. So hold on one second. And when I do that, one of the things to know is that I can't see the chat anymore. So if you do have a question, you'll have to unmute yourself and just holler at me. Okay, so that I know that you have a question. So don't be shy. And I was going to tell you something else. Oh, if you are thinking about having Zoom live meetings with your students, or even if you're going to use a different tool, welcome, thank you for joining us. If you're thinking of using a different tool, then just be upfront with your students. This is kind of a really unprecedented time for everybody, but it's also an unprecedented time for internet use. It's pretty bogged down in internet traffic out there. You could get kicked out of this room and have to come back in. I've been kicked out of my own room, right? It just happens. Your internet signal goes a little bit unstable and you're gone. So if that happens, especially because if I try to demo screen recording, that's gonna put a pretty big strain on me Zooming live while also running a recording thing on a different app. So I'm anticipating that that may not work. And I've kind of set up my agenda to be able to do this without necessarily demoing what a screencast looks like, because I'm not sure that this can handle Zooming while doing a recording of my screen in another app and so on. Okay, but if I do get kicked out, just hang tight and I will be right back in as soon as possible. Okay, so I'm going to start sharing my screen. And like I said, if you do need me at that point, oh, no, hold on. That's the other fun thing about screen sharing. Hold on, I need to minimize something. It doesn't like it when the thing I want to share is already full screen because it pretends it can't see it. So at that point, there we go. At that point, you will have to holler at me if you have a question. Okay, and I will come back into the Zoom room in a little bit. I promise I will paste a resource document for you. All right, so this is actually the blog that I mentioned in yesterday's behind the scenes. That is where I'm kind of pushing all of my support resources because I can't update the intranet page because you have to be on Wi-Fi to update the page. You can view it from outside, but you can't update it. So I'm pushing all my support here and it's building. I add to it every single day. I'm also giving some support that's really just about the design of these experiences, not just the tech, but some other aspects to think about in terms of the design. Thank you for joining us. So we're going to start a little bit with talking very quickly about the content itself and some things you'll want to keep in mind for a really successful delivery of content in this setting, which also happen to work in physical classrooms as well. Then I'll talk about some specifics about these recordings and how to make them work. And I will share a document with you that gives you access to a lot of resources so that you can pick the tool that works for you and have the resources to support yourself while using that tool. And you can, of course, email me if you have questions. I've used all the tools that I listed. And then we'll end with some really good advice to help your videos be as smooth as possible. Okay. So as you're designing the content, particularly in this setting, even though we know this is good practice in our regular classrooms, it is even more important to chunk your lesson into smaller parts, right? So break it up into logical pieces that build from one to the next. And I even recommend that you do a separate video for each chunk. But you could make it all one long video if you want. I've done that too, as long as you're using a tool that allows you the time that you need. I've done it both ways. I kind of like having a part 1, part 2, part 3 because it helps, especially with the longer the video is, it may take longer to load. It might have more lag. It's more likely to be subject if something does happen. So I just like to do it in parts. Also, that helps you because if you are recording a lesson and you make a mistake 18 minutes into a 20-minute lesson, you're going to have to re-record that whole lesson again. So if you break it into chunks, that's going to actually probably be more manageable for you as well. But it's not even just the chunking that's important, but within that chunk, build in some checks for understanding, preferably plural, that you can use and your students can use to know if they're getting it. give them that moment and say in your video, I want you to pause right now and try this activity. So this is just one sample. So, oops, that's not the good page. This is the other page. So in French, if I'm teaching content with activities in my video, I'm going to say, okay, I would like you to decide which picture A, B, or C corresponds to chanter, which picture corresponds to danser, and which picture corresponds to manger. I would do that. I actually do that in French, all the instructions, because my learners can understand my instructions, but just so you get the idea. And I tell them, pause the video and make that decision. And then when you're done and you think you know the answers, please continue the video. Then when they continue the video, the next thing that comes up is the correct answer. Why? Because our students want to know if they are on track. So this can really help as something that in addition to just including whatever your content is, whatever the instruction is, if you can build in some checks for understanding that the students can do and know if they're doing okay, that can really help. For teachers who are comfortable with this, you can also shoot them out to a tool like Google Forms or Socrative or Formative or any of those tools that design formative assessments. You could, have them go out to that and do some kind of check as well. Okay. Then I also suggest, especially if you haven't done this before, that once you have your content put together using whatever method you want to use. I happen to be using Google Slides. Hi, welcome. I happen to be using Google Slides, but you can present in any way you want. If you want to use PowerPoint, if you want to use Prezi, if you just want to go to a website because everything you need is on that website. Once you have put your content together and you want to record your video, I recommend you practice the whole presentation that you intend to give to your learners first. Now you could also choose in all of these tools, if you want to use a different one where you're not going to use a web-based screen capture recording tool at all, and you just want the video to be of you, that's slightly different, but there are a lot of good ways for you to do that. So I'll try to remember to post something about that later. Many teachers want the support of visuals and things and color coding and so on, things to supplement their learning, right? And things to supplement the comprehension of the content. So I'm focused on kind of a combination of screen recording as well as your voice and possibly your webcam. So once you have your presentation done, before you try recording it and dealing with the technology, just put it in whatever mode you want it to be in so that so that your learners are going to see it the way you want them to see it, and then actually practice it and time yourself. Ideally, just because of issues of attention span, internet lag, and so on, you kind of want to aim, if you can make a chunk that's somewhere between 5 and 8 minutes, that's great. 15 to 20 minutes may be the max, although there are a lot of teachers sharing really great lessons that are 30 minutes long. And my only caveat there is just make sure there's checks for understanding built in. And remember that in the recording of a lesson like that, you could need more time to really get that recording the way you want it, since it's a really long recording, and if you make a mistake, you'll probably have to start over with most of the free tools. Some of the paid tools will let you edit, but if you're using a free tool, which is all we have available right now, you won't want to have to try to redo your whole video if you're so far in. Okay, so make sure you practice. Then you're ready to select your recording tool. There are a lot of them. So this is the document I will be putting in your chat for you. It's not very pretty, but it does get you what you need. So I'm going to take you through a little bit of the features of each of these tools, and then I'll see if I can screen share while demonstrating one of them. Like I said, I'm not sure this will support that since I'm also on Zoom at the same time, and I'm also recording in Zoom. So I really don't know that I can screen share. So Screencastify is a freemium tool, meaning that there's a free and paid version. It's a Chrome extension. So I'm sharing my screen right now. So I hope that if you look at the very top of my screen, you see the really long web address. Then to the right of that, you see the star for your bookmarks. And then you see all these colored icons. Can someone turn on their microphone and let me know if you see the small colored icons to the right of my address? Your microphone is in the lower left-hand corner of your screen if you're on a computer or Chromebook.
I see that, Nicole.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so Those are Chrome extensions. They're mini programs that work within Chrome. I have a lot of them. I have more than are even visible here. And then can you turn off your microphone, please? Thank you. And then this one right here, the orange one with the number 4 on it, is Screencastify. I have the free version. I don't even have the paid version myself. So the free on this one, the big caveat is that it's only 5 minutes long. I did link in this document that you'll see when I stop sharing my screen. I did link their Help and Learning Center, which is really quite good. And I also have a document that we'll get to in a minute on how to share your video once it's done. A similar tool that's also a Chrome extension, meaning that once you install it, it will live up here in Chrome web browser. So you can click on it anytime to start it, is Screencast-O-Matic. It's very similar, but it has a 15-minute time limit. So some of you might find that more doable. The small problem is that it's not enabled for our sanjuan.edu accounts. So if you decide to create an account at Screencast-O-Matic, you'll have to do it with a private Gmail. Okay, so that your students won't see your private Gmail, but that's how you'll have to create it, because it does have a longer time limit. I did put a link for some tutorials just on Screencast-O-Matic as well, because I anticipated that I won't be able to share a live screencast with you, although I'm going to try. And sorry, my husband and I are both working from home, so you might hear him in the background. And then another tool that's actually a download to your computer, but it still gives you a link when the video is done, is called TechSmith Capture. And what's nice about that, it's also 15 to 20 minutes. It's also free. And it will let you record your screen. It will record your voice. And just like the other 2 tools, it will give you the option of putting your video, your webcam on, so your students can see your face during the presentation. So those are 3 tools. If you have an iPad, you might also consider Educreations or Doceri. What those tools do is they are virtual whiteboards that are recordable. So like any whiteboard, you can actually, you can write on it with your finger or a stylus. You can change the colors. You can drop in shapes or images. You can type on it. And you can then record all of what you're doing on it as it happens, so that you can see, or so that your students can see the process. Like if you want to demonstrate a math problem or demonstrate a process, and then it gives you a link that you can share out. It's very intuitive. I used Educreations a lot when I was in the classroom. So I have tutorials and samples and everything linked for you there. Okay, so let's, what I want to try to do now, when I was going to talk about choosing the recording tool, the first thing you're going to want to do is some practice recordings, because if you've never done this before, you don't know kind of what this is going to turn out to be like, right? So you want to go ahead and try a practice recording, knowing that it may not, and it probably will not turn out to be the recording you want to post. I've done this a whole bunch of times, and I still normally have to make a few recordings before I get it the way I want it. So pick the tool you want to use. You might want to try a practice tutorial in 1 or 2, or a practice video in 1 or 2 tools, and decide whose interface you like better, and then just stick with that one. Do your practice video, but most importantly, make sure you watch the video and make sure you listen to the video. Can you be heard? Is it clear? Do you like the way the flow of the presentation is? Do you like the way you sound? I know we hate listening to our own voices on video, but you really do need to listen to it. Do you have anything in the background? If you have your webcam on, do you have anything that's visible that you would rather students not see? Because that tells you you might want to move to a different place for what you are doing on your video. And just a quick comment about using your webcam. There is research to show that when students see a video with the webcam with their teacher, they actually have greater retention of learning than when it's merely the audio. So although you may not want to show your webcam, you might consider it if you're comfortable doing so. And remember, your students have seen you every day anyway. They know what you look like. They've seen you every day in the classroom, and they probably miss seeing you, really. All right. And then also, lastly, how to share your video. So let's go straight to that. I'm going to do the one for Screencastify, but the process is really similar for the others. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom this way in. Okay, well, I'm trying, but it's being slow. Hold on. Hold on a second. It's thinking about Zooming. Hold on. I see. Oh, does someone have a question? No, okay. So this is for Screencastify, but the process is very similar for Screencastify and for Screencast-O-Matic. When I click on the extension that's up at the top, the little orange arrow, it pulls down a menu that says, oh, did you want to record right this minute? And actually, no, I didn't want to record right this minute, as it turns out, because I actually want to get to my videos. So when there's a little menu button, the 3 lines in the upper left corner. When I click on that, it gets to my recordings. When I get to my recordings, I have all these thumbnails of my recordings. And all I have to do is click on one of the recordings, and to the right, it already shows that it's in my Google Drive because these all want to connect to your Google accounts. So one way to share it would be to make the link in your Google Drive public, or viewable at least, right? And then put that link in Google Classroom or ClassDojo or whatever you're using. But you also have the option to share with a link, share to Google Classroom, publish to YouTube, and get an embed code. If you are publishing your own full website and can embed HTML, you can embed this video right within the website. The other Screencastify is very similar. TechSmith, the one you download to your computer, hold on, let me go back. The one you download to your computer called TechSmith, that one, as soon as you're done, it will give you a link that you just copy and share. And then Educations and Doceri also, Educreations gave me a link that I could kind of email to myself because I was on my iPad, and then I can go to a device and put that link to my video wherever I wanted. Educreations does not give you the option to have a webcam as well, because it's really all about recording whatever you do on that digital whiteboard in real time while you talk. Same with Doceri. Okay, so let me see if I don't know that this is going to work, and my video might freeze, or my Zoom might freeze. Actually, let me go back. I'm going to stop sharing for a second. Hold on a second. I'm going to stop sharing and come back into the Zoom room because there's some chats happening and everything. And I'm going to paste. This should be the one. It is. Okay, so there's the link to the resource document in the chat. Okay. And I purposefully put it up afterwards, so that's why I know someone was asking for the link, but I wanted to go through the document first. Okay, so that is now in the chat for, oh, nope, it's just a Scott. Hold on, sorry. Scott messaged me privately, so it's just a Scott. All right, there we go. Now it's there for everybody. If you open up your chat, you should be able to get that link. And in addition, in yesterday's behind the scenes, there was a long post for technology, as you can imagine. And one of the things that, welcome. One of the things that the post shared was the link to this particular site where I'm posting all of my resources. And there's also just some other advice and kind of support for this process, especially for teachers who never, ever would have volunteered to do something like this and are feeling really high anxiety right now. But all of that I shared with you, if you go down to, it is in this document as well, for starts with Google Classroom. But further down when you're transitioning, and there's a jump link that I forgot to do, but actually it's at the top, I think. Anyway, I'll scroll back down to where it is here because I can't find it right now. But if you're jumping down to this, you'll see the slide that I showed at the beginning. But if you keep going, the document is linked here. So if you have lost the link in the chat, you can come back to this post. And you'll see that there's a link that says check this document for popular free or freemium tools. It's the same document that I just shared with you here. So that is actually linked in yesterday's behind the scenes. Okay. And so I did post that, but someone new entered the room. So let me stop sharing because I do need to re-put the link in the chat for that person. There we go. And I do have, I actually have about 5 minutes left for questions if anybody has one. I'm sorry, I know that I'm positive that trying to do the recording won't work while I'm also recording a Zoom room. So I'm really hesitant to try that right now.
Hi, Nicole.
Hi.
I have a question. I actually did a test recording through Zoom, and then I was trying to link that MP3 or MP4 link, or it actually wasn't linked, but the recording into my Dojo, and it wasn't working. So I'm trying to figure out how to go about, how do I do that?
So which tool did you use?
I did Zoom. I did a recording in Zoom, like a test recording just to.
Yeah. When you went back into your Zoom account and you got the link, you got the link from there, right? You went back into your Zoom account and looked for your meeting recordings?
I did, but it didn't actually have a link. It just was like, it opened up a screen wanting to save an MP3 recording.
Oh, so it sounds like you did audio only, because MP3 is audio only. So give me a second to respond to a private chat. Hold on. Okay, so there you go. All right. So I'm gonna try to share my screen and go back to Zoom for a little bit, and I'll see if I can get it to get to my settings for what happens to recordings. Okay, so give me just a second. I'm gonna share application. Nope, that window's too big. If you're in Zoom, by the way, everybody, it really doesn't like it if if you're going to share a web page, whether it's a Google page or something else, it really doesn't like it if that page is full screen. You really have to make it a smaller version of the page, and then when you hit share screen, it says, oh, I see that now. Thanks for wanting to share it. Sorry, that's also, there we go. Share application, share. Okay, give me just a second. I need to open a new tab for us all. Okay, so zoom.us. That I did not listen to it. I hope it worked. I just posted this morning's recording on just some kind of an orientation to Zoom. I posted that in that same blog post so that everybody knows they can keep going to the same place. And just so you know, although that's long, I haven't had time to build in navigation because this is changing so fast and the demand for support is so huge that right now it's just there, but I hope to add navigation to that puppy, that really long blog post in a bit. All right. So here's my page for Zoom. This is kind of my account page. And on the left is my menu of what I can do on this account page. So I'm going to go down to my settings first. And when you go through your settings, you just want to take a look at some of those features in Zoom. And there's a lot of them. Hold on. And then in recording, make sure your cloud recording is turned on. Okay. Because that will give a link to it. But also, I thought there was a thing. I'm just trying to see. And I am gonna not auto delete actually right now because I have an important recording in there. So I was just trying to see if I might have to go back to the other ones, to the other settings. But in any case, you're gonna go through your settings, make sure your cloud recording is available, and then I'll go to the recordings in just a bit itself.
Question. I don't know if cloud recording is available for free.
Oh, okay. So in that case, good. And I don't have also a basic account to look at.
That's why.
So it might be. Now, if in that case it's recording to your device, you'll want to look at your settings again and make sure that the settings for recordings are also like recording audio and video, because it will do two separate recordings. Zoom will let you split apart your recording and have just audio, for example, if for some reason that would be helpful. So make sure, and I'm trying to get down there, sorry, I set up my settings a long time ago. And I have different settings, I know, as well, so I'm hoping.
I know there's so many. I went through them yesterday and I was like, I don't even know what I'm supposed to be clicking on.
And do remember that we are getting an education license. Zoom is inundated with requests for this. So we don't know when it's coming, but it's been requested. We're just waiting for them to authorize it. And that will change things as well, because some of the features you don't have with the free account and a whole bunch of special features just for education will become available.
Okay.
I don't see it now, and I'm not finding it fast enough, probably because I'm trying to find it fast.
I know. I'm sorry.
Okay. If it's only doing, you said you found a downloaded recording on your desktop.
Yeah.
Okay. you might, so you're going to have to put that probably onto some kind of platform where you can share. You could potentially upload it to, it's hard to do just MP3. That's why I want to solve that problem with why you didn't have video. But you could potentially do, like uploading it just to YouTube would do it. And then you get the link from there and put that link out where you're sharing, because something like a video file, an audio file, it's going to be too big. It's not going to go through Remind. It's not going to go through Class Dojo. Like that kind of file is going to be too big. The other possibility is uploading the file to your Google Classroom where you can, or your Google Drive, sorry, wrong statement. Upload it to your Google Drive for the district, which does not have a limit on size that I can tell. And then you can get the sharing settings in Google Drive and make sure it's public so anyone can view, and then put that link out in Class Dojo.
Okay.
So you go to your Google Drive, click the plus and choose File Upload, grab the file from your desktop, and then make sure the settings for that file for when you hit the share button, make sure that it's anyone with the link can view.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll play with it again too. So.
And you can email me if none of that works.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, let me see if anybody, I did already mention, oh no, I think I'm caught up. Okay, any other quick questions before we have to close this one down in preparation for, hi there. One of the nice things about, you know, being at home, our pets have joined us, our children are joining us. All right. I know that was a really quick introduction. We will be offering more support. Again, it is challenging to share how to do I can share examples of recordings, but sharing how to do the recordings in real time, the tools can't handle both things at the same time. So just feel free to consult the document, look at some tutorials and the links I've provided, and I'm going to paste it again just in case in case someone came in new. So this is the resource document for screen recordings. And then make sure you open that before you leave today. But if you forget to, just go back to San Juan Scene, behind the scenes, and grab that blog post link and jump down to the screen recording part, and you'll see a place that says check this document. So, okay. Thank you so much. Email me if you have any questions. And I also am, this week I'm still offering Zoom support. Starting next week, I think only Jennifer Cox will be, my TOSA, she'll be offering the drop-in support because I'm going to be busy hosting an awful lot of trainings. But you can always reach me via email. Okay. Thank you so much, everybody. Oh, where are you recording? Sorry, Scott, I'm just going to reply orally again. All these recordings are going, I'm trying to put everything on that blog post. So the recording from this morning is in the blog post already. This recording will be added there as well. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, everybody. Bye-bye.